Assalamu alaikum. So it's Tuesday, guys, and we're gonna try to get some people in here and let's get some. So we're gonna wait till 3 o'clock, and we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, guys. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that I went through as a child. I wanted to give you some of the information that I had so that you can have an understanding of how to use the moon phases. It's more than just using the full moon. You can use all of, hello, hello, you're welcome. Hello, Share Bear. Hi. So the full moon is more than just using the full moon as a cleanse. Hi, Cheryl. Thank you for showing and support for me. Thank you for showing up and your support. So we are starting to talk about, the different phases of the moon. So you can always, use any phase of the moon to release. You can use more than just a full moon cleanse. I like to use the full moon cleanse because it is good to get everyone together who follows me to remove any kind of negative energy that you may have been going through in your life. So again, for this full moon cleanse, I'm going to use the marshmallow root in order to cleanse any negative energy out of my heart. You have to decide what you want to cleanse on your full moon cleanse or any phase of the moon. So this is a good time for ceremonial baths and to remove any kind of stagnant energy that you may have had from a child, or if you are under attack at the current moment. So, as a child, my mother sent me away to Albany, Georgia when I reached a certain age, and I was raised in a country, with my great aunt. And so when I got to be a young woman, when I started to have my menses or my cycle, then my great aunt would separate me from, doing certain chores with the animals. I was no longer able to attend slaughterings because, it is understood that a woman should not attend those slaughterings when she has come on her cycle. For a lot of indigenous people, it will make the meat go bad. So women are not allowed to do certain things, especially by the moon cycle, by her menstruation, by her cycle. And we have an understanding. Hello, hi, hello there, Ramain West. I'm so happy to have you here. Please hit the like button, you guys. I appreciate all of you. So, there are certain things that we were allowed to do up on the land. And so, slaughtering the goats or in a smokehouse was not one of those things. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sherbert. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So we have the understanding that when you're brought up in an indigenous culture, there were certain times that there were cleansings for men and women by the lunar phases. As an indigenous person, my aunt used to always try to give us some, 9 drops of turpentine on sugar, and some quinine, as medicine to cleanse any kind of negative energy out of your stomach or your soul. And this is for men and women at that time. So I would always take off running, and my uncles and cousins, they would have to catch me and bring me back to my aunt. But the old people, they used to make you take that medicine, the 3-6s, the black draw, any of that nastiness, that foulness that I used to hate. so it was very yucky at the time, so we had to take it. So my father, he did not want to take it either, and my mother's people taught my father a lot of things, because he didn't want to take the quinine. He didn't want to take anything that tasted nasty. So he would go out into the woods, and we would go fishing a lot too. And he would, make poke salad. So that's how I know how to make poke salad, in order to cleanse your system out from any kind of negative energy that someone may have attacked you, in order to cleanse the negative energy. The turpentine, Chair Bear, is 9 drops of turpentine on a teaspoon of sugar. And you can, take that in order to remove any attacks out of your stomach, or if you have worms or anything like that. Yeah. For you might want to get some water behind that. I had to have water behind it because I was running. It was yucky. I was running. So, those are some of the ways that we were, on the moon phases. By the moon phases, we had to plant certain things by the almanac in the country. And so therefore, we would also, by the moon phases, have our hair cut. Our hair was cut at a certain time during the moon phases. And a lot of people don't know that, these cleansings have been around for a very long time. It did not just start with India, cutting people's hair to remove negative energy. The elders, it would have people come to them if someone had been doing their hair and attack them with black magic or black matter, if their scalp had become infested, or, there was sores necessitating the scalp, they would remove the hair and allow it to come back, just by removing the unnecessary hair with those moon phases. It had to be cut by a moon phase. And so did our hair. My father did not allow our hair to be cut. So my mother could only cut the tips of our hair off. They could do a trimming, but my father did not allow, our hair to be cut. And so, there were certain things that would go on, in the country, that the men always led the prayer. The men always sat at the head of the table. And it was, very disrespectful to have a male in the house, and the female is leading the prayer. Very disrespectful. So the males did certain things, and my father was a very big stickler for people burping at the table. He really despised people having bad manners, especially women. So you could not burp at the table with my father. You could not, yawn. You could not yawn at the table with my father. He'd make you get up. Even if you, had a half a plate of food, you had to get up. And definitely do not, break wind or pass gas at the table. That's all out war. That's all out war. You're gonna have a problem. So my father had his role. All of the men had their roles. I learned a lot of things from my mother and my father. I had to learn how to build a fire. I had to learn how to catch fish, and anchor a line, through my father. So I can just about live anywhere because my father was a Vietnam vet. And he taught me many things, but my mother's people taught him how to live off the land, and how to cleanse and grow things by the moon phases. What is that? If you're having some problems with the internal part of the anus, if you have an overgrowth with that part, then there is definitely a rub that I can send you. You can just reach out to me in my description. I can send that to you, and it will draw those hemorrhoids right up. Wyatt's leg. So I think it's Wyatt's elect. You can just reach out to me. And again, men and women had to have different kinds of cleansings for those reasons right there. Your demonic family got you wise young. Well, it's a lot of things that we can survive that a lot of people would not be able to survive. So, when you're having problems internally, when there were people that would come, men that would come to my great aunt, and she would give them an enema. And for this day and age, I don't know why, but men do not like to have anyone touch their bottom, but it's very necessary if we want to get those worms out of there. If we want to, salt is not going to draw it back up. Why it's elect. Salt isn't going to draw it. It's going to sting. It's going to make sure that it tightens, but it's not going to draw it back up. And there are different kinds of ways that we can do that with certain kinds of herbs that we use, and an enema that we can use to draw those hemorrhoids right on back up. You're neurodivergent, and it shows. Okay. You want to send me some pork chops? Well, you'll be eating them because I don't eat pork. I'm very sorry about that, for you, and I'm not sorry. So, if you want pork chops, then, you're more than welcome to eat whatever you want to, but I'm not going to, choke off of those pork chops with you. I'm sorry. I stopped eating pork very long time ago when I became Muslim. So, you have added, that's probably why you have the hemorrhoids from eating, the pork chops. I'm sorry. But anyway, these are some of the ways that we cleanse the negative energy, during the moon phases. And we are able to understand that men and women must have a cleansing during this time as well. That the elders were, really on top of cleansing during the winter solstice, so that you did not come down with walking pneumonia or the flu. And, right now we have the COVID. So there are different ways that we were able to cleanse this type of negative energy, especially with the elders, with the ancient remedies, the holistic medicines that they had given us in order to keep us from having a low immune system. So, there are certain things that I would have problems with when I left Atlanta, Georgia, and went down south to the country. I would have problems with allergies. I would have, problems with, breathing problems, nasal problems. And one time I came down with the flu. So, there are certain types of cow dung, cow manure tea that my grandmother, had passed around in her family, and a lot of the elders had this type of remedy when you have walking pneumonia, or you have a lot of mucus from bronchitis and things of that nature. And they would get this type of, mushroom out of the cow dung. And there's two types that grow in the cow dung. You don't want to get the pink one because you're going to have a problem. So you want to make sure that you're boiling that. And, she gave it to me, and I was able to, vomit up all the mucus that was in my system. So these are some, there's probably more nutrition. Well, we have to understand that they are genetically modifying our food. So, we want to make sure that we stick to, some of the older remedies that the ancestors have given us for a reason, in order to cleanse ourselves with the moon phases, on the moon phases, and we have more ways in order to keep ourselves healthy with the old ways. Please, guys, hit the like button. So we're going to talk about some of the moon phases, that the lunar phases that some of the elders use for cleansing. And I just wanted to give you, well, it lowers our immune system. Well, I don't eat cow dung, Wyatt's elect. I don't eat cow dung. That's for people who are eating pork and pork derivative products with monodiglycerides in them. So make sure that you're looking at what you're putting in your body, guys. Make sure that you're looking at the ingredients so that you have an understanding of what you're putting in your family's body, because we don't want any of that genetically engineered food on the table for our people. It is going to, give them hormonal problems, cancer. You're going to have problems. You're going to have problems. You're going to have, a 10-year-old boy or a little girl, looking like a grown person, and you're going to have problems with their hormone imbalance. So, these are some of the reasons why we don't want that engineered. We leave that for the people who want to eat that kind of food. Well, it's no wonder why you guys blow up like that. Exactly. A lot of you, be all out of shape, obese, because you're eating 3 times a day. The most that you will need to really eat, the way that we were raised, as indigenous Black people, as Cherokee Black people, as Black indigenous, how shall I say, people who were here, foundational Black people, they would only eat once a day. They would only eat once a day. So all of these, eating 3 times a day and all of that, that's why a lot of people are obese and cannot control their weight, especially, a lot of these people who believe that crap. Does it matter if I'm Black or not? 2 cups of Epsom salt, baking soda, a cup of Borax hot, as you can do. Oh, okay, I will try that. I will try that. You know, I see I see we have Wyatt Select. I see that he's a troublemaker. So we have it says in AI, and in many cases I have corrected AI, and you know, on this one it got it right. Okay, but you're asking me, am I black? You're the only person in the chat, you know, talking about eating pork. You're the only one that's talking about, am I black? Does it matter? Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. So you should not be here if you're having a problem with if I'm black or if I'm Muslim. That's the only reason you would ask those types of questions. So, you know, no, you're going to blow up. I'm sorry. You have to, you know, and I'm going to help you blow up right now. It's just ridiculous. So we have I removed that person. I thank all of you guys for showing up. Yep. And you can always tell these narcissists because they come right back. They come right back. So we're gonna have what the AI says about these moon phases, that our ancestors were cleaning and cleansing negative energy. I have no idea, but we know that he's a narcissist, share bearer. We can see that, you know, he came here to attack the chat. So, you know, some of the moon phases that we're having is the waning moon, you know, for spiritual and energetic cleansing is the waning moon. From the full moon to the new moon is ideal for releasing negativity, old habits, and healing, with the last quarter being primed for final releases. However, the new moon is perfect for fresh starts, clearing spaces for the new. And the full moon is powerful for releasing stored energy and deep purification. Different phases focus on letting go, wanting or preparing to let go, full and new, aligning with the natural cycles of release and renewal and holistic purification. So, you know, a lot of people like to say that, you know, using the moon cycles is, you know, that's for, you know, witchcraft. And this is what a lot of Christians have been taught. But, you know, we have an understanding that anytime that you are cleansing something that can cleanse negative energy, then the entity does not want you to do that. So they will make up things and try to, you know, place labels and titles on certain people, because they know that cleansing in these phases, it cleanses narcissists out of your life. It cleanses negative energy that has been sent to you. It cleanses negative energy that has been stored up, malignant energy that someone may have called you, you know, ugly or fat, or someone may have told you to be quiet. And this may trigger some of you. You know, somebody may have wanted you to stay in the background and stay invisible or silent. So these are the types of cleansing that you want to do when you have been under attack from narcissists, or from, you know, family narcissists who wanted to, you know, keep you hidden from society so that they could abuse you. You love the new energy from the cosmic realms? Well, we love it too, because, you know, it's not with all the screaming and hollering. You know, that some people believe that you can scream and holler, you know, and talk in tongues to these types of entities or ailments, as the elders used to say, and they'll just magically disappear. That's not how this works. So we have key lunar phases for cleansing, and I'm going to give you these phases. I use all of these phases in one way or another. The full moon, a peak time for deep, powerful cleansing, release with what no longer serves you, and emotional healing. the warning gibbous. And last quarter, focus on releasing, letting go, breaking habits, forgiveness, and shadow work as the light decreases. The new moon. Use this time to clear your energetic slate and set intentions for a fresh start, making space for new positive energy. And the waning crescent. A time for surrender, rest, and final clearing before the new moon cycle begins. Excellent for healing. So all of these are, ways that we can take ritual baths and remove negative energy from our childhood, stagnant energy from, if you've had multiple relationships, if you're going through something where, someone has tried to stagnate you, someone has tried to manipulate you into, doing what they want to do. If they have tried to lay tricks for you or send the evil eye for you, all of these moon cycles and phases are good for you to cleanse. So when you have people, you will usually have narcissists who do not like to be cleansed, because this type of cleansing of the negative energy during these moon phases, it will actually also make their mask slip. It will also send that negative energy back to them. It will act as a shield, for chosen ones in order to cleanse that type of negative energy. So when we are using the moon phases, we also want to understand that our children are in need of these types of cleansings as well. It's not only for adults. So this was my main purpose for holding this live for you. This was the main purpose of my mother sending me away to her side of the family, so that I could have an understanding as, the eldest girl, in order how to cleanse this type of negative energy and pass it on to my daughters. So these are the types of understandings that we have gotten from the elders, the ancients, the indigenous people, the foundational elders. Oh, I thank you so much. I thank you so much, Share Bearer. So, I know that this is how we grew up. This is how I lived, as a indigenous Black person. So we want to make sure that we're passing this information on to our sons and our daughters, that there are certain things that they were not allowed to do, and there are certain things that men could only do. So now we have an understanding that, with the new moon and the new year that is coming, I told some of my people on one of my lives about, women were not allowed to enter into, the home at the first of the year. They had to be with a male in order to do that, and this was to connect the man and the woman. That was, the flex at that time, for the man and the woman to be together and be happy at the new year, and have the male lead the woman into whoever house that they went to. There were times as a child, I was with my great aunt, that if I went to, my great cousin, if I went to her house and she had men and sons, I could not enter her house. I had to stand on the porch. There were many people that, when you have, going by the moon cycles, when you have become a young woman, you cannot, enter with men, and you have to be separated for that purpose, and a lot of people do not understand that. You have a lot of people that I had, after I got grown, at the first of the year, at the winter solstice, at the New Year's, you would have women, come in and try to dance a jig inside of your house, knowingly trying to send negative energy, and again, like I say, I cleanse all negative energy. And that negative energy has to go back to the person's family who has that kind kind of information and knowingly does that to another female or woman. So, we have different kinds of cleanses for the new year, for men, different kinds of cleanses for women. And we are giving the understandings that there are certain things that you will have to cleanse out of your soul. And if you like to go partying, if you like to go to people's house and eat, different places, to different restaurants, you will need to cleanse that negative energy, during the moon cycles out of the men. There were certain things that we were taught to cook, like I say, the poke salad, in order to cleanse the negative energy out of the men on a moon cycle, because it's hard to get men to take medicine. Those men were running off somewhere into the woods, under the house, in the smokehouse too. So, men do not like to take medicine. So we had to, make it good for them. We had to make the poke salad, which is a wild spinach. And you have to know how to cook the wild spinach, because, it is poisonous if you do not know how to cook it. So that's how we got to clean the men out, because they were running away from the black draw, the 360s. They were just like me. They was like, this is yucky, we're running. So so we have these different ways of cleansing negative energy, the men and the women, during the moon phases. We have different ways of growing certain crops during the moon phases as well. The almanac used to tell us different, things in order to grow our crops or our little gardens on the side of the house. So there are different ways. Even your garden can deflect negative energy. And so I've had people call me and say, my entire garden died. Okay, that's because someone around you is sending, negative vibes and frequencies towards you. When you see those types of signs, that is a negative omen that someone has sent to you. So, I wanted you guys to have this information. I hope that you have received this information, and let's see what else AI has to say, because they was hitting it right on the head this time. Not all the time, but they were hitting it on the head. Okay. And it's giving us how to use each phase. It say the full moon ritual. Burn items you wish to release, take cleansing baths, or perform energy clearing rituals to shed heavy energy. And that's exactly what we have to do. It hits it right on the head. So the waning moon ritual, write down negative patterns and burn them. Symbolic release, meditation on forgiving, or use smudging sound baths to clear your space. The new moon ritual, cleanse your space before setting intentions, purify your body and detox herbs if desired, and prepare for the new seeds of intention. General cleansing, work with the moon energy for general house cleansing. Waning moon is great for this. Crystal charging, full moon or self-care, last quarter waning crescent. So, we have different ways that we can cleanse, and that's why I give you the herbs and different ways that you can cleanse. It doesn't just have to be on the full moon. It can be any time that you feel this negative oppression in your body, in your life, or in your soul. So I thank you guys for supporting me. I thank you for reaching out to me. You can book your one-on-one sessions with me. Like, share, and subscribe to me over all of my platforms. I would really like for you to reach out to me and do your life coaching sessions or your video chat sessions with me if you want to cleanse negative energy from your health, your finances, from your relationship, from anything, your business, anything of that nature. You can reach out to me so that I can help you remove this negative energy. You can book your one-on-one life coaching sessions with me or your video chat sessions. You can also, leave a comment for me, or you can send money also in the description below. Please leave your comments, like, share, and subscribe. I'm HighOracle Reiki spiritual healer. Assalamu alaikum.